Good evening. It's 7:25 and we're ready to start a public hearing here for the Glens County Council. So the public hearing is on a resolution to propose local law 1/2021, a local law to amend the code of the city of Glens Falls Vehicle and Traffic, Chapter 208-48, Schedule 1, traffic control signals, to remove the traffic control signal at the intersection of 3rd and Staple Streets, to amend the Chapter 28-54, Schedule 7, to include a 4-way stop at the intersection of 3rd and Staple Streets. And we've done this in other areas of the city, and this was proposed by Councilman Clark, so if you'd like to speak to it, I would encourage that.
I would. Thank you very much, Mayor. And so this proposal has been over a year in the making. It was initially going to be brought before the Board of Public Safety and the Common Council last year, and then COVID hit, and so then everything stopped. So we've had some constituents over there. Traffic, as people know, is a lot more congested on Broad Street. People are diversing to side streets, and the traffic control device at the intersection of Staple and 3rd Street is our oldest traffic light in the city. Mechanics are not as reliable as they should be, and it's very difficult to get parts for it when it does go down. And we've had it go down, and we've had a 4-way stop there, and it's worked very well as a temporary 4-way stop when it's gone down. There was a traffic study or a pedestrian study done through one of Adirondack Falls Transportation Council's consultants about improvements in the area. One of them was to look at addressing the traffic signal at that location, whether putting a new one up or taking it down altogether. We've been successful. We've had some success in other locations, one being at Abraham Lake School District, where the traffic light was taken out and a 4-way stop was instituted right next to the school, right next to the front entrance of the school, and it's been successful. It's worked out well as a traffic control device. More recently, we had it done on Sherman Avenue, and that has worked out very successful as well. So this is being proposed as taking this traffic control device down, putting the 4-way stop. So everyone, if you've got a green light and you're coming down 3rd Street, you're unfettered all the way through past the school. You've got a green light coming down or up Staple Street, you're unfettered all the way to Broad Street. And we've got a lot of kids that traverse that area a lot. So it's important that we put this 4-way stop in for the safety of our children, for the safety of other pedestrians, and it just makes the most sense. Also, obviously, there's cost savings involved as well. We don't have the maintenance costs, we don't have the electrical costs, and it's proven that 4-way stop has worked successfully in these other areas, and there's no reason why it won't be successful in this area. It went through the Board of Public Safety. Mayor, I thank you for shepherding that through there, and now it's come, and we approved the public hearing tonight, and it's on the agenda for approval for this evening. And I would ask you all to support this. Thank you very much.
Are there any other comments on this resolution? So it's 7:30, so I will close the public hearing, and we will move to our regular agenda, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Kemp now will lead us to
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we've got a request tonight from Engineering Ventures on behalf of Hudson Headwaters. The Common Council, usually the process is that when someone wants something rezoned, it comes to the Common Council, we refer it to the planning board. But some of the members of the Common Council wanted to see the proposal first before they send it to the planning board. So I would ask the rep, yes?
You're not going to have another public speaking time?
So the process is that we wanted them to give us a presentation. Then it goes to the planning board, then there's public hearings after that. There could be one, there could be two, whatever it may be. So tonight, you're welcome to watch the presentation and make the comments that you'd like, but this is not, we're just sending it to the planning board.
I understand that, but usually we have a public open forum talking first. People know we don't do that. You know,
That's kind of what this is.
Public comment time before you actually start the meeting, you know?
No, so we never have the public comments before we send it to the planning board. Once it goes to the planning board, it comes back to us, then we have public hearings.
I think is the question, you're just asking if there's public comment before the start of the common council.
Correct.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
related to the project.
No, yes, we did.
Yes, well, it could be related to, understand.
So we do, yeah, I think I misunderstood you. So you want to speak to the council first.
I would like to.
Go ahead, come on up. And introduce yourself and tell us where you live. This is former, I'll introduce you, this is former council person, Tina Weber.
My name is Tina Weber, 16 James Court.
I got a camera.
You got it, yeah, you got to be on camera, you got to be on microphone.
Oh, boy. 10 more pounds on the jump. Jesus. Hello, everyone. I'm Tina Weber. I live at 16 James Court. I'm not opposed to the process that's going to be going on in my field, because I've lived next door to it for 30 years and on the other side for 20 years. So I do know the whole neighborhood very well. I have a couple questions. I just found out about it this morning at 8:30 that it was going to be on the agenda. So I went searching through the code to find out why a couple things needed to be done. And I know you're not going to answer me tonight, but I want it in your head so when we be proactive, because I did talk to, I have this man's name somewhere. Anyways, so I found out the reason you want to have it under general district number 1 is it's a big jump, but it's the first place in the code that it says it will allow nursing home, adult facilities, licensed daycare, or hospital or related health services. So it's going to go from R1 medium to general commercial district 1, which is 5 levels. So when we start doing this, I want everyone to realize I'm hoping a couple things. One is when and if it gets passed, that it has a like it's called a sundowners or something, where if they don't make it work, can it revert back to
Sunset, yeah.
to what it was, because we're losing. I mean, I know you may not be able to do it. I'm just saying. And there's a couple other quick little things, lighting, water drain. They're building over there on LaRose Street. They're pumping more water out every day than they're being able to work. So I'm worried about drain water. I know they've been over there and have done the testing and stuff like that. And just something, I know this is supposedly not the end all be all, but has everything they need, and then it says proposed rear yard setback, not applicable? What, they don't have to have one? Come on, it should be there.
It said they have 2 front, they don't have a rear. They have 2 sides.
Well, the rear is gonna be looking at my window, so.
That's the side, that's gonna be a side.
I
They
understand.
have 2 street fronts, so they have 2 fronts and 2 sides, no rear. That's really what the interpretation is, whenever you have two street facing.
Okay.
If you are.
Well, I'm hoping that they'll be good neighbors, and they will. I've talked to a couple neighbors, and they know I was coming, and that we can work together, and I can talk to, I can't find the man's name. I had it somewhere, probably home, who told me he would keep me informed And the last thing is, if you want to be a good neighbor, have them mow the lawn. They haven't done it in 7 weeks. You know? Thank you.
You bet.
Okay.
Thanks, Tina.
So I would ask the representatives from Hudson Headwaters to make sure you get Tina's phone number and make sure you stay in contact with her, because she probably is the representative of the neighborhood, so I think that would be a good idea. So the floor is yours. Go ahead and make your presentation.
Todd Eicher? Eicher?
Yeah.
Okay, that's who I
So Todd and I So thanks, everybody. It's actually nice to see everybody in person.
Yeah.
So for a change. So I'm Chris Turner. I'm the CFO for Hudson Headwaters, and we're here with our architectural team this evening to present our.
Would
our
you spell
project.
your last name?
Sure. It's T as in Tom, O-U-R, N as in Nancy, I-E-R. I'm used to that. So, the project, kind of take it back. I mean, we've owned the property for many years, maybe even nearly a decade. And it's always been a kind of a twinkle in our eye to build over in that section as a replacement for our Broad Street facility. And that's kind of where it was all born. As many of you know, I guess Hudson Headwaters, we do primary care, we do, some mental health, behavioral health, OBGYN, obstetrics, gynecology, and we also do dental, but not here. We do it in Lawrenceburg, and that's kind of our core services that we provide. And so Broad Street is today is pre-COVID, was kind of a mixture of things. It was primary care, but also urgent care. And so in looking at the needs and that building had kind of reached capacity, we wanted to build a new facility. And that would be primarily primary care. Urgent care would stay at Broad Street. And so we have plans to refurbish that and are working on that almost simultaneously. But we're not here for that, we're here for this project. And so throughout the years we've talked about it, but also we have an opportunity that we thought would fit well in that property, which is our PACE program. We're developing a PACE program, which if you don't know, it's not too common in areas. I think the nearest one is down near Albany. And what that is it's a program for all-inclusive care for the elderly. And those folks, they're usually dually eligible, so Medicare, Medicaid. And what makes this a little bit unique is that they're SNF eligible. So the whole program and that's skilled nursing for people who maybe aren't in the business. So it's nursing home. And so those people are eligible. And so the whole program is to actually keep them out of the nursing home. And so it's, I label it as adult daycare. That program is really centered around 200 or so people. And so we would have a program there, and that's about half of the building that we would be, looking to build. The other half would be kind of our normal primary care business. And the interesting part is that, that PACE program, again, it's not here locally. It is to keep people, out of the nursing home as long as you possibly can. And, on a daily basis, that might be 80 or 70 or 80 patients, PACE eligible folks actually going here. And we provide transportation, meals, other primary care services, and it's all centralized in that area. So,
Can I ask you a question
sure,
about that?
sure.
Is that similar to the Fort Hudson daycare program?
No, it's not. I mean, they have a component of it, but it is different, technically different. And part of the technical piece of it is we actually, for that service, become an insurance company as opposed to a provider. Now, we're doing a little bit of both, but at the highest level, we would be working with Medicare and insuring those people and ensuring that they get all the services they need. So it is somewhat different. They have some similarities, but there is some differences.
Yours is more comprehensive.
It is, yeah. Although, interestingly enough, we've talked to Fort Hudson. We know Andy Cruikshank really well, and there may be some synergies that we might be able to do with him. You know, for instance, food service. So there is some synergies there. So, you know, long story short, we've been working with our architectural team to develop this building. It does take up, a good part of the lot, that is true. And we're well aware of the water issues as we drive by and seeing it pumped on the other side. And that's why we've done wells, holes to see what the groundwater looks like. We're certainly cognizant of that. We're speaking about good neighbors.
I'm over here.
Oh, okay.
I heard you. She's here back there.
Yeah, I had trouble myself. So, I would tell you that in all of our projects, we're good neighbors. We take that very seriously. And we understand, the facility size, the lighting, the night lighting. We understand that, and we do work with, our neighbors and try to be, good neighbors. Because at the end of the day, we're making an investment, and we want everybody to be happy, and we want to provide a good service. So we do take that very seriously. And so, I've encouraged, my associate Todd to keep in touch with you. I said that's great. We should know, the folks in the neighborhood. Certainly, we own property across the street too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, not necessarily Glens Falls. So anyway, long story short, we've spent months developing this, and I think maybe it's time to unveil it. Any questions?
Are you closing Broad Street?
No. So during COVID, we moved the primary care component out of there so that we could do testing and urgent care. So that will remain urgent care, as long as we own it, and there's no intention of selling it. And so the primary care now is over at our West Mountain facility, Cary Road, off Corinth. But that primary care that was originally at Broad Street, we plan to bring back over. Many of our patients walk, and we're well aware of that.
I want to ask you about that. I read on your cover page, it said you expect 9,500, good percentage of your patients to walk.
It's
I'm like,
95.
it's elderly care.
Well, no, see, there's a difference here.
Okay,
So-
maybe I read it wrong, and explain it to me.
Yeah, so there's, kind of think about it as bifurcated. There's the health center, which is about 9,500 patients.
Okay,
And then there's the PACE program, which is about 200.
okay.
And they're, we probably call them members as opposed to patients, although they will be patients in the health center. Many of our patients on the health center side do walk, but we do get people who come in from all over. If we look at our zip code,
See, that's what
Yeah,
I'm worried about parking.
Yep.
People parking on the street, because it's tight as it is. If you go down there for a game now, last year, whatever, when there were games there, you can't get through there.
yeah.
It's dangerous, so.
Well, and we'll show you, the parking, I guess, but to continue on with the PACE program, what I don't want you to think is that that's going to add another X thousands of people. It does not. There's only about 80 of those folks there in a day,
Okay.
and we will provide transportation.
I just read the number 9,500 patients.
Yeah, health center.
Okay, but still they gotta park somewhere.
Yep. That's 95.
I know they're not gonna be there the same day, but
That's annual.
nobody walks anymore.
So.
They're gonna be driving.
Well, the folks that, that are in the, this is why we're so cognizant of being in the neighborhood. The folks in that housing that's close by
Yep.
are our patients, and they can walk.
Look,
Yeah.
I'm
So,
not quite sure how many
quite a few.
apartments are gonna be in there total, but
Yeah. It's quite a few.
there's not gonna be
No, he
9,500.
means our apartments,
Yes,
when they're rebuilt.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
No, I get that, but
yeah.
53.
believe me, I've seen people drive to the 2 feet away and park to
Yeah.
It's just the way it is,
Yeah.
especially if you're not feeling well. Or it's the winter. Parking is gonna be
Right.
a concern of mine.
Well, and, you know, part of, you know, and we've certainly discussed that, and, you know, so there's employees, right? Employee parking. If we have to, we can put that on the other side of the road. You know, we do own that entire block, and, you know, we've cleared it in anticipation.
Okay.
So, you know, so.
Well, I know you guys get busy. I know you have a great product out there. People come and you guys fill up everywhere you go. So I'm just worried it's gonna be busy and there's gonna be a problem with that. That's one of my concerns.
Yeah, and it's a legitimate concern.
Unlike Broad Street, though, this isn't a walk-in urgent care.
It won't be a walk-in,
It'll be
no.
by appointment, so.
It'll be by
stagger
appointment.
with people who come.
You're correct, it's by appointment, and, you know, that walk-in piece, you know, people come from all over to go into that urgent care, especially, you know, in normal times, and this time of year, that's, you know, it's very busy. That will stay at Broad Street. And again, we'll refurbish that. So,
Can you make sure that you turn it a little bit so Ms. Williams?
She has a copy. Oh, didn't Jimmy give you a pen?
I got it, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have copies of the survey and the current site plan,
Yeah.
concept plan, and then the floor
So
plan
could
is
you
also.
guys introduce yourselves also
Absolutely.
for the records, please?
Mike Russell from Engineering Ventures,
Could you spell your last name?
DUSSAULT.
Okay.
Mike Gord, SMRT, Architects and Engineers. GOARD.
So as you
Okay, go ahead.
So you know, the request is to rezone the property from R1B to GC1. We felt that the GC1 was the best fit for the use that's proposed for the PACE and the MOB, medical office building, and the potential pharmacy on the property. So this site plan is a conceptual, as you can see, that it was developed with the GC in mind, with coverage, parking spaces, and our building setbacks, and as I there was a comment before about the front and the rear setbacks. So there are 2 front yards and 2 side yards, and the side yard facing James Court, we're set back currently at 40 feet. That can change. We can grow that to get a little bit further away from the property line, depending on how this site plan works out. As we develop it,
Did you say James Court is a 40-foot setback?
right now what we have is we're showing the building at 40 feet from the property line at James Court here.
The fence is 7 feet in. The fence is 7 feet in. The metal fence is 7 feet in.
The fence is 7 feet in, what do you mean in?
The property line
Yeah,
and the fence, the property line is here, and the fence is here. It's been there for 32 years. And and it goes,
you mean it's encroaching on you, the fence?
No, the fence
Is
is-
the other way, thank you.
The
That's
other
what it-
way,
right, thank you.
yeah, this-
Right, that's what they would have been required to do, I think.
So
when
is
they
it
put that-
40 foot from the property line or 40 foot from the fence?
40 foot from the property line. The fence will be removed, and we replace it with landscape buffers. We're proposing, as we mentioned before, good neighbors. So some of the things we would do, we would be in conversation with the neighbors to see what best fits their needs, as far as screening with fences, plantings, trees. And when we talk about trees, we're talking, you can see this plan shows a lot of trees, so there's a lot of trees that we anticipate that we planted as part of the project. And we're like working with a landscape architect, we like to specify trees that are at least 3.5 in caliber, so not the small trees.
10 to 12 feet tall.
Yeah, or even taller, up to 16 feet tall. And then shrubs that would be planted in that buffer would be 6 to 8 feet tall.
I know you can't answer this, but at this time, do you feel like you're gonna need the 7 feet back in move the fence
You
over.
take the fence out, is what they're saying.
Yeah, we're
Take the
So
fence
you're-
out completely.
Well, I know, but they can take the fence out and put a 6-foot fence up in the same lot. That's what I wanted.
I think from this,
Replacing it with trees.
trees.
yeah, I think that
I
something
know,
could be.
it's something to work on, but you don't know at this particular.
No, I think we're too early in the process, you know, because right now we're just asking for the rezoning of the parcel. There's a lot of engineering that has to happen still. The program is pretty much set for the facility with the square footage. That's why this building represents that kind of a.
Is that what you would prefer? And
Well,
if
yeah,
you're
but,
speaking for
okay, I also,
neighbors?
well, no, I know we'll go to this and we'll hash it out for three times, or I'll meet with you, and then I'll bring it back to all my neighbors that I'm gonna start a petition tomorrow morning, because I'm retired, to have me be the spokesperson, not against it. Because you do not want 42 people in a meeting, I know that, it's ridiculous. The only question I have is, why do you have a road back
That's
there?
what's gonna be my
This
question.
one?
Required for fire truck access?
Oh, this one.
So
Back
that's
behind.
so just for fire truck access.
That's
it's
it.
not
And what we
for
did is we
loading.
made sure we didn't have any deliveries or anything on that back side of the building. And just to make it feel a little bit more comfortable, we hired Wagner Hodgson Landscape Architects. They're an award-winning landscape firm from Burlington, Vermont. They're also located in
So
Hudson.
I've gone to all of your facilities. I mean, I talked to Tom, I mean, he knows, I mean, him and I talked for a long time. I drove around to every single one of your facilities. The little one in Fort Edward, up to Warrensburg, to Cary Road, I mean, I drove around, I looked around, so it's not like I'm coming into this blind. You are good neighbors, I do see that. I just have some concerns.
Yeah, so when we were going after the project, we knew that was a hot topic, so we made sure we brought in the right teammate.
Right.
And, I've worked with them for 10, 12 years, but if you go
Right.
on their website, they do phenomenal work. And I am confident that we can address
Right.
your issues.
Well, I mean, all of my neighbors, and besides the 3 that are right along there, they all are worried that we're gonna have walk-through issues, because we already lost a fence on Western Avenue to some people that they don't have to put it up because it wasn't in there. And we are now getting kids walking from Western Avenue, jumping the fence, a 4-foot fence, and coming in. And it's just not things that we want to see. You know, we are a quiet, nice neighborhood and have been for 30 years, so.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we would come up with some concepts for screening, and
Right.
might be a variety. You might have a portion of a fence and then some trees.
Yeah.
So, we can work with the neighbors to figure out what you want to be looking at.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And some of the other elements that that are shown in the concept plan that will carry over into the engineering would be, we offset the entrances so it's not a straight shot through.
I know, that was nice.
So that to eliminate any kind of,
Right,
hey, people,
Race
traffic,
course.
yes.
you know, anybody trying to race through there has a cut through. So that was intentionally done. One of the other things that we were doing was we're putting our stormwater inside of the island, the planted islands here. So we're breaking up we're not having a large, massive asphalt area, but we're breaking up with plantings. Again, using our landscape architect,
Rain gardens.
rain
you know,
gardens and
looking
stuff
at
like that.
those
So we're not shoving all of our stormwater to the edges, and everybody has to look at wet areas. So we're going to keep it internally and kind of, and that'll actually break up and have a little more softening of the hardscape areas on site. So those are the things that'll carry over to the engineering as we progress the design. And we have some garden areas in the front of the building for patients and visitors that they'll be able to enjoy before or after their visits.
Yeah, we're really trying to tie the building with the landscape and really integrate it. We've got 4 outdoor areas that we're proposing on this building. And, like I said, we're also exploring building massing to make sure that it's not overwhelming.
And one of the other things I did hear about was light, and we were cognizant of the fact that we don't want to have any light spill. And we can they have technology now, you either dim the lights at night during different times of the nighttime or completely shut them off. I mean, that'll be the discussion that has to happen.
Code
but-
said they can't shine so far into a property.
Yeah, they have to,
can't,
they
yeah.
Right.
can't
So,
spill.
I mean, I have to say, I might be blonde, but I'm not done.
you know, and it's
So,
hard.
I mean, I understand, you know what I'm saying, it's just that I there's a lot of questions that are, first we're taking away a field that we've had for kids, and the neighbors are like, what? And now it's gonna be something different, that's all.
So I appreciate you guys sharing this with us. And one thing I've seen with Hudson Headwaters is you're, I don't know how to say this, but you've been so successful that you've used up a building and moved on to another building. Broad Street, for example, and you basically outgrew Broad Street when you first built it. And Queensbury Family Health, you basically grew out of that the first day you opened up the doors. And, you know, now we've got massive structures in Southwest Falls, on West Mountain Road, or the West Mountain facility. My concern is that at some point in time, you're going to be so successful, you're going to grow out of this facility, and we're left with something that might not be as wonderful as this right now. What are your plans? What is the plan for this facility? What's your growth rate? Are you going to, how long do you anticipate to be in this building before you
It's a
decide to?
it's a great question, and it's one we've talked about. This facility actually will probably, with this facility, but obviously we've got others and they're nearby, probably will meet the demand that we feel is in Glens Falls. So, you know, that's not to say, you know, we may not tweak here and there, but, you know, between all the facilities, we think that'll meet the demand for the coming future.
So I guess, what I'm saying, what I guess I'm looking at is like, would you decide like, say your PACE program is really growing in Great Glens, and your primary care is like, oh, we've got a lot more space at the West Mountain facility, let's move it back there, or let's add over, you know, over there some more.
Yeah, the PACE is an interesting question because for a couple reasons. One, they tend to be kind of regional, right? So, you know, so we have one here in Glens Falls. You know, we might look to the far north to put another one. And some of that's demography tied. You know, when we're looking at, you know, and we're constantly looking at land in the north because that's really where our growth is. You know, we're looking at larger size. So this is like going to be the core, all right? There may be sub-facilities, like, you know, you might want to put one, you know, I'll make it up, you know. It could be, you know, or it could be Plattsburgh, we're also in Plattsburgh. But, you know, that might be a bigger facility, but if we put it somewhere else locally, we'd put it somewhere else and it'd be smaller. That's kind of how it's kind of the spoken hub.
But you would look outside the city.
Probably, yeah.
You know, I would appreciate if you look outside the city. And you guys have been, you know, I'm a member of Hudson Headwaters, and you guys have been great and provide a great service to people in need and, you know, those that are not. And I appreciate your willingness to take buildings and bring them back to life. But I would appreciate if you look at other places as well as the city. And I think this is a great project and certainly definitely needed. I mean, Broad Street needs to be, you know, urgent care, and that's what it solely should be. While we still need primary care in the city with this building and your new program, I think is a great diversity that this adds to the city and to the residents, which we need. But, you know, when you talk about continuing to grow, there are other areas.
And that's where we're focused more towards the north. We know we need to do something with Broad Street, and this is it. But it's also much bigger than our current Broad Street, which, you know,
Sure.
obviously.
Sure.
But we really think this meets the demand along with our Queensbury kind of campus.
Well, you're all,
How
you sort of got
many
clustered.
buildings do you have in the city of Glens Falls right now?
City of Glens Falls, we have 90 South, which is right across from the hospital. And we have, we own that land, obviously, and then we have the Broad Street, and I'm trying to think, oh, well,
We have parking lot.
yeah, we have the parking lot, and then our PEDS practice, which is on Southwestern, is actually Queensbury.
Queensbury, that side of the street.
Yeah. So,
But you got a nice little cluster over this end of, on the West Mountain facility. I mean, you've got a good diverse cluster where people can come to,
Right.
provide
And,
whatever services they're
the other piece to that is, we also own more land over there. There's a couple lots that we bought many years ago. So, if we were gonna expand PACE, it'd be there. But PACE isn't meant to be, it's not like the health center side where there's large numbers. It's very small numbers when it comes to that.
But
It's
don't-
a step up too, it's not like instant,
Correct, yeah.
full, it's over a period.
That's right, and you basically, grow into it.
But let's be honest, our community is getting older. I would see that potentially growing larger than.
Not everybody goes into it.
Okay.
It's, and there is criteria.
Okay, all right.
So you really have to be the skilled nursing eligible, and so there's criteria to actually get into it.
And it's a great option to keep people out of it.
Right, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not available, most people don't end up.
Let's hope I can get criteria.
I go on now.
Do you take reservations?
I like to go private now.
Oh, to answer your question, the only person I've given a reservation to is Trip Shannon.
He needs it.
So great. Is there any other questions you have for each gentleman?
So tonight, we're only
Sending it to the plan.
sending this to the
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
If there's any questions too, feel free to reach out to me.
You bet.
Happy to address them.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
presentation. So now we go to public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the council?
Yeah, we want to
No. I've got a lot, but I'll
save it for the.
They'll be happy.
Okay, so if there's no one from the public that would like to speak at this point, we'll go to committee reports. We'll start with Ms. Reed,
I have none.
Mr. Campbell.
No report.
And Mr. Collins.
Have no report?
And Ms. Palmer.
I just wanted to update the Building and Codes Committee that I checked in with the county about Granicus, and I'm told that they have agreed to have a presentation to the Occupancy Tax Committee, and they've been checking referrals, and so I think we should wait until after that committee meeting and then make a decision about whether we want to go forward by ourselves or if there really is a shared services opportunity.
We appreciate you doing that.
Diana, if it goes to the occupancy tax committee, does it then have to go back to shared services?
I don't have the answer to that for sure. I imagine it would have to go to the full board after that, but at least if it passes that committee, I think it's worth waiting.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then, we'll
Right.
have to decide separately.
Thank you.
We'll go back to Mr. Collins.
I'm sorry, the sustainability committee hasn't met, and we're starting to put LED streetlights. For some reason, Mr. Clark must have greased the wheel correctly because they're starting in his ward, right? And so he got the new streetlights first, and so there, yeah, it does fit, doesn't it, Jim?
The tree inventory starts in the fourth, the lights.
I don't know what that is. So, anyway, the lights are here, they're going in, and everybody has been approved the lights that you said that you needed. That's already in the budget. The only one is in my playground. We're looking for another viable option because we don't want to pay $10,000 for one light. So anyway, that's going in. LED streetlights coming into Glens Falls.
Great.
They're
Good
awesome.
job. I want to thank the sustainability committee because that's been a long project. You guys have worked hard, especially with Jeff Black. And it came to fruition, so that's great. So, Mr. Henberry.
I have a report.
Mr. Clark.
Special Projects Committee continues to meet. We met earlier this evening regarding Chapter 198 of the City Code, taxi cabs. We invited our Assistant Chief, Jared Smith, to come talk about the enforcement component of the chapter, to educate the Special Projects Committee on that component of the chapter. We had a really good dialogue with one of the taxi cab companies that was here regarding that. And, you know, we're looking at this, the chapter in its totality, and trying to make some significant changes that will decrease expenses, increase revenue opportunities, but also strike a balance for the users of this service, the most vulnerable, the elderly, the folks that are living on working wages and stuff like that, that rely on the service. But we're coming along, and it's been a good dialogue. You know, I said tonight that I learned something new every time we meet, and it's been a great process. And so what comes out of this process will be a strong of legislation to present to you, Mayor, and the rest of the council. And I really want to thank Bob Curtis, our city clerk, and Karen Judd, our city attorney, for their insights, their input, their expertise, and worldly knowledge. So I really appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
The night away from home.
So we'll move on to a voice vote. Resolution 1 is approving the minutes of the June 8, 2021 meeting of Glens Falls Common Council. 2 is a resolution approving the May 2021 monthly report of the City Clerk Parking Violations Bureau. 3 is a resolution approving a request by Daniel Gerard Sr. as approved by Mayor Hall on June 15, subject to retroactive Common Council approval to hold a 3-family graduation block party from noon to 5, Sunday, June 20, 2021, at 97 McDonald Street. 4 is a resolution approving a request by Teresa Hammond to hold a graduation block party from noon to 9, Sunday, July 4th, 2021, at 73 Peck Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Your roll call vote, is there any of the resolutions you'd like to pull for further discussion? Number 5 is a resolution awarding bid, the City of Glens Falls 21-07 rebid 2021 pavement striping to the sole bidder K5 Corp. of Rockland, Mass. at the total bid price of $21,328.45. 6 is a resolution awarding bid, City of Glens Falls 2021 street resurfacing to Commercial Paving Company, LLC, 1380 Towpath Lane, Broward, New York, for a total of low bid at $1,282,007.60. 7 is a resolution designating AJA Architects, 9 Broad Street, Glens Falls, New York, to provide design, engineering, and construction oversight for related administrative services for the Glens Falls Market Center and Downtown Revitalization Initiative, DRI, finance construction projects. 8 is a resolution adopting local law number 1-2021, the local alternative code for the City of Glens Falls, vehicle and traffic, Chapter 208-48, Schedule 1 traffic control signals, to remove the traffic control signal at the intersection of 3rd and Staple Streets, and to amend Chapter 208-54, Schedule 7, to include a 4-way stop at the intersection of 3rd and Staple Streets. 9 is a resolution authorizing the controller to decrease general fund expense line A23410-2500 fire and other equipment by $450 and increase general fund expense line A23410-4479 fire and other contracted services by $450. 10 is a resolution authorizing the controller to decrease general fund expense line A23410-2500 fire and other equipment by $496.34 and increase general fund expense line A23410-444 conventions and training by $496.34. 11 is a resolution approving community development Annual payments of $20,501.11. Resolution approving, or 12 is approving one-week mobile food unit license for Steve K. Story II, 166 South Street, Glens, to allow him to vend at the Grand Am Block Party on June 22nd, 2021, subject to compliance with the current New York State COVID-19 guidelines. 13, a resolution approving encroachment permit for Abyssinia Leon, 74 Elm Street, Glens, to allow placement of a dumpster on Elm Street in front of the residence from June 25th to June 29th, 2021. Resolution number 14 is for encroachment permit for Northeast Fine Jewelry, 167 Glen Street, Glens, for placement of a sandwich board sign on the sidewalk in front of the business from the current date through May 31st, 2022. 15 is a resolution approving an agreement between Greater Glens Transit and Capital District Transportation Authority to provide additional seasonal trolley drivers consistent with applicable federal and state local laws and requirements, and further authorizing the City of Glens Transportation Director and the City Attorney to finalize a memorandum of understanding between the City of Glens Transportation and CDTA for this agreement, and further authorizing the City Controller to increase the GCGFT budget expense line 4,400 contracted services by $40,000 and increase Greater Glens Transit budget revenue line 2214 federal aid by $40,000 to appropriate funds for this agreement. 16 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with DebtBook for a debt and lease management software service to allow City of Glens to be in compliance with GSB number 87, which is effective with fiscal year ending 12/31/2021. 17 is a resolution acknowledging a request by Engineering Ventures on behalf of Hudson Headwaters Health Number to rezone a parcel of 38 Rose Street, tax map numbers 308.07-8 and 308.07-33, and referring to Glens Planning Board for review. 18 is a resolution approving the warrant. And I think I have a agenda addendum with number 19 would be a resolution approving an annual mobile food unit license for Chris and Lucia Di Lorenzo, 14 Wheeling Street, Glens, to vend at 10 Broad Street from current date through December 31st, 2021, subject to current New York State COVID-19 guidelines. And 2 is a resolution approving an encroachment permit for Stephen Kinley, 14-16 Ridge Street, Glens, replacement of the dumpster in front of 1460 Ridge Street from July 12th to July 15th, 2021. That will actually be resolution 20.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilwoman at Large Reed.
Yes.
Councilman Campbell.
Yes.
Councilman Collins.
Yes.
Councilwoman Palmer.
Yes.
Councilman Hunter.
Yes.
Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Okay, old business, Ms. Reed.
I have none.
Okay, Mr. Campanell.
I'm like her, I have none.
Okay. How about you?
I have none.
Okay, Ms. Palmer. And how about you, Mr. Engineer?
I have none.
Mr. Clark?
I just wanted to circle back on the new LED lights, so getting a lot of positive feedback from them. So it's a good thing, and I'm glad we're doing it. And they come drive in the 5th Ward and take a look at our new lights because they're really amazing. So
Keep it up.
but it's great. So thank you everyone for doing this. It's
New business, Ms. Reed.
Thank you.
He's done with his
Are
LED.
you sure? Are you sure?
You might want
I always
to,
thought-
we'll probably talk about him under new business.
Right. I have none. Thank you.
Mr.
Okay.
Reed, you're done.
I'm following her lead. I have none.
I have none.
Mr. Collins. Ms. Palmer?
I wanted to mention, I told you about the Story Walk program that we have been collaborating with the library on, and that should be starting in the beginning of July, and the collaborative is promoting it for us as well. And I think it'll be a fun recreational activity for families, and it'll also move people into our downtown business area, so that should be really fun. And then I was just wondering, the requests that we made about sidewalks in the designated areas, what is the process?
So the process goes through DPW, and we're put on a list, and we have a company that does it, Catapamo Construction. So DPW basically puts the list out, and hopefully they can.
I just wasn't sure how much of an area I could select, obviously because of the amount of funds in my ward. So I know I gave you lots of options. I was just wondering what you would know, how much.
Yeah, so I actually have there is a dollar figure for how much is available in your ward.
I know, but I don't know how much sidewalk that dollar
I know it's
figure
gonna
does.
create that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we'll see if we can get an answer on that.
thank you.
You bet. Mr. Andrew.
Happy 4th of July, everybody. If I don't see you,
All right.
enjoy the holiday.
Amazing.
Mr. Clark, I'll talk about streetlights.
I have no new business. Just thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, and I really appreciate you taking that taxi cab on. You've taken on a couple of things along with police reform and so on. I appreciate what the special projects committee's done. I have a couple of things that I want to talk about. Mr. Collins and I went to Bold Landing to the Sacramento for New York State Mayor's Conference. We were there on Wednesday and Thursday. We attended different seminars on different subjects. One that was probably the most interesting for me was the use of the ARPA's funds. And as you probably have seen if you checked your emails, we want to have another workshop next Tuesday at 6 o'clock. And in your boxes, you all will have one of these if you haven't checked it yet. And this is basically the slide program that was given to us by the Mayor's Conference. And also, we just got this the other day, and this is compliance and reporting guidelines, which we've been waiting on because we didn't know.
Right.
So Suzanne has this, Mike Leonard has this. We will be hopefully a little better versed when we have our workshop on next Tuesday. We've got, at that workshop, we'll talk about, breaking it up a little bit. And, we have some pretty good ideas of where the monies can be used. And Bill Collins and I, we really talked about the water and sewer side of it. So, but there are other things that we can also use the monies for. So at that workshop, we'll talk a little bit more about that. We have continued on with our working groups on the South Street projects with Envisions Architects. We've had weekly meetings with them. Jeff Flagg has facilitated those. They did do a site visit at the farmer's market on Saturday, and they walked around. They actually put a drone up in the air to look at the area. So we're very happy with them at this point, and we'll keep you updated. And I asked Jeff to maybe next meeting to come in and give us a little more information to keep you guys up to speed on that. And it's also the same thing with the Market Square, which was the Bonaccio project. So hopefully at the next meeting, Jeffrey can come in and bring you a little bit more up to speed where we are on those projects. Let's see.
Do you want me to talk about the marijuana law?
Bill Collins attended the marijuana law seminar, so he's going to be the one who speaks to that. He didn't wear a tie-dye shirt.
That's right, I didn't share my history with them, right? So anyway, right now the committee, the licensing group hasn't even been formed yet. So the earliest that any sales are going to be in New York State is looking at the end of 2022 at this point. They've asked us to, in general, consider the two main types of licenses to be equivalent. So the use on-premise license to consider it like you would a bar, and that the language that they've used in the law is actually cut and pasted from our language from our liquor authority and that. And then the second most common portion of license would be to think of it like you would a liquor store. So a dispensary would be the equivalent of a liquor store. And we won't have, we have an option, which I don't believe we're seriously considering, which is to opt out. If we did opt out, any sales that were made in Warren County, Glens Falls would not be getting a portion of it. And so we wouldn't just be opting out for ourselves, we'd be opting out for all the money that could come from the rest of the county. It also wouldn't stop if you did opt out of Glens Falls for those 2 licenses. It wouldn't stop somebody, let's say there was a dispensary on Glen Street in Queensbury, from them delivering marijuana to a house in Glens Falls. And delivery is going to be a major piece of these, of this service. And so, other than that opting out, we really won't have much input. It doesn't look like. They don't know yet for sure, but like what will happen is they will look at the amount of people in a particular area and say that they're going to give this many licenses to that area. Then a whole separate thing will be when they've given out those licenses, then people can worry about where, right? Then people can worry about applying for a zoning permit or whatever, right? Or a planning board, going in front of a planning board, those kinds of things. So we're not even close to that, right? This won't be coming up in front of the planning board for a long time because the people that are going to run the authority, right, the marijuana authority, haven't even been selected. They need to be approved by the Senate, the state Senate. So anyway, nothing yet, just those general thoughts about them.
Thank you. So another thing that came up, and this is something that at some point we're going to have to talk about, is e-bikes. Now, Claudia Bramer had come in front of us a couple meetings ago, and talked about e-bikes were approved for the bike trail. A little bit of concern. There was an e-bike seminar. I attended it, and the person who put it on is Wayne Beltramo, who is an attorney for the New York Council of Mayors, and he was very big on e-bikes, and he was talking about how he's lost weight, and he's done all these things, and he's got 2 e-bikes, and he thinks they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then I asked him, well, let me ask you, if you have a bike path going to a residential neighborhood, what's your opinion? I'd be pretty careful, he said. So I passed that on to Jack Diamond at the county and told him that I had a little bit of concern, so I would like to talk to the county about that. I'm all for e-bikes. I think they're great, but I'm concerned about on our bike paths. And obviously, they can't be on our sidewalks. So that's something I just wanted to make you guys aware of, that there will be conversations with the county about that. So, other than that, I don't have anything else. If anybody else from the council has anything, feel free. We would ask Robin Barkenhagen to approach the microphone.
Hey all, Robin Barkenhagen, 19 William Street, on behalf of the Collaborative. Take a Bite just over 2 weeks away. So get your appetites ready. We got, I think, almost 15 restaurants that get more every day. We got 5 other groups today. CDTA just came aboard. They're going to stand up on the bikes and give people information on how to use them and access them. So a lot of organizations coming in. It's going to should be a lot of people and a lot of fun. So 2 weeks, and Story Walk. We're going to integrate Story Walk through it, which is perfect because as the parents are eating and walking, the kids can be reading from the book and hopefully each week, read a book. So it's going to be a big circle moving around. Even though we do have enough social distancing space, we don't necessarily need it now, but I anticipate large crowds. Everyone's clamoring to get out and do stuff, and Take a Bite has always been one of our signatures. So thank you all for your support and your help in that, and that's it.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
So with that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Urgent.